Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masechtas Kiddushin, Daf Samach Vav. We're going to begin about 10 lines from the top on Samach Vav Amud Aleph. Iboilu. So the Gemara asks the following question: Ishto zinsa be'ed echad. Let's say a person's wife was allegedly mizana, and there's one witness to testify it. The shaisik, and when she was confronted, she was silent. She didn't contest it. So, Mahu, in that situation, what exactly is the din? Says Rashi. Someone said that your wife was mazana, but so is that witness believed, obviously not for her to be punished with misa or scale or whatever, but at least to aser her. So I'm Rabbi Neman Rabbi Omer Eno Neman. It's a machlokas. Why Rabbi says no? Because Havidavar Sheba Erbi and Davar Sheba Erbi Pachas Mashtayim. You need two witnesses. So Omer Rabbi Menah Minua. How will prove to you that in fact you are Neman? Dahua Samya Dahavi Masader Masnyasa Kemei Demar Shmuel. So there was this person who was engaged in ordering and explaining all of these various statements in front of Mar Shmuel. Yomachad and Nogale. One time he was late. V'loi havikas, didn't come. So shadish shlicha basrei. They sent the messenger to see why he wasn't coming. The ozl shliach b'chad orcha. When the shliach went in one direction to get him, asiyu b'chada. He came in the other way. So it would have been better if we never sent the messenger. But it happens sometimes. You want to find out something and you send one person away, and now all of a sudden the person came back. Shliach Oimer Ishto Zinsa. So when he came back, he said, by the way, I just saw that your wife was Mazana. This is the case of one witness. If you believe the Shliach Zil Afka, then you should go and leave. Because after all, Rashi says you didn't contradict him. And she didn't contradict herself. She didn't contradict him. But if not, don't. So my love, imehim and Allah the love gazlanahu, that you just don't think he's a gazlan. In other words, he's just a regular aid kosher. So what do we see? We see, and this is a proof to Abaye that it's possible that one aid could be neman to aser. So how about Rabbi, who says you need two? Rabbi knows imehim and Allah could betray zilaf, give you a little tafka. If you believe this guy tremendously, as though, even though he's only one person, as though like he's two witnesses, then can you leave, because you need two witnesses. Okay. The Amr Abaye. Abaye says, again, he's going to try to support his view that, in fact, she is, that this shliach is going to, this aid rather, is neman, and therefore to aser. We have the following story. We have a story with Yaneh HaMelech. So Rashi tells us who this is. Min HaKohanim Shel Chashmonaim Havi. So he was during the time of the Hasmonean dynasty. Sheholach LeChaychalis Shema Midbar. That they went to this particular location, this province in the wilderness. V'chibe Sham Shishim Karachim. And they conquered 60 villages. So on their return, they're obviously very happy because they're coming back in victory. V'kara l'chol chachmei Yisrael, and he called to all the chachmei Yisrael to be able to rejoice with him. Armolhem avuseinu hayu oichin meluchim b'zman shayisukin b'binyan beis hamikdash afanu noicha meluchim zechel avuseinu. So since you guys were eating salt items, which is referring to like vegetables and the like. So that was in the time of the second Beis Hamikdash, says Rashi, by Sheni Shabo min HaGoyla, and they came from Goyla, V'hayu Aniyim, they were poor. So because of that, that's what they had. They had these simple foods. So Zecher, them, to remember these poor people, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it instead to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu that He saved us and He made us wealthy. So they put these simple foods, but not on the most simple of tables, on golden tables, and they ate. there was a scoffer who was a lavorad, bad heart, blial, someone who lacked the basic yoke and the fundamental principles of their Jewish faith. Velazar ben Poria Shemo. In case you want to know who this bad guy is, that's his name. V'yomer Elazar ben Poria, and this guy said, he said this to Yanai Melech, Yanai Melech, libam shel Perushim alecha. The hearts of the Perushim are against you. In other words, they hate you. These people that you're so happy, you should be so happy with them. They're not happy with your success. Uma esa. So what did he do? So hakim olhem, but sit shebein enecha. To get up with the tzitz of the Kohen Gadol, put it between your eyes. Now he was a king, but he also wanted to be he was also wanted to be the Kohen Gadol. Hakim olhem but sit shebein enecha. V'hayasham zakin echa. Yehuda ben Gedidya shemai. V'yomer Yehuda ben Gedidya in Yanei Melech. He said, Yanei Melech, Rabbcha keser malchus. Isn't it enough you're a king? Hanach keser kahuna l'zar shel Aaron. Let the Zar shel Aaron be the one who is able to wear the tzitz. Shahayu oimrim, because it said that imo nishbes b'moidiyim, that your mother was held in captivity in this place, says Rashi. L'kach michu boi shahayu ha-perushim oimrim, the perushim, which are the Firmi Yidden, said the imo, the Anamelch's mother, nishbes b'moidiyim. Krachshel Beis Chashmonai is a village. Kahuna. We know when a woman is in captivity, her children become pasul kahuna. But nasa avim v'nimsa chol. So this child, namely you, Yanai, you're a chol, which is probably not the nicest thing to say, even if it may be true, to a king. So he said you shouldn't be wearing the tzitz because it's not really appropriate for you to be wearing the tzitz. Fine. And Taisa says that Perish Bekunchas off with the love Shasa Vodahi, Harmin Le'el, the big Kahuna Nitnuli Hanois Behen, that there's no Ister, even maybe Shalom Shasa Voda is questionable because it's not Shaykh for a Kohen to be able to take them off immediately. Okay. I ain't that Taisas. V'yavuka Shadabar, they looked at the V'lom Nimsa. V'ibadu Chachmei Yisrael bezam. He chased out the Chachmei Yisrael with wrath. The Yomer Elazar ben Poria, this troublemaker, said, Yanei Melech, Hed Yisrael Yisrael Kach Hu Dinoi. So when it comes to someone who is a Hedget, this is the din. You would avenge them. V'yatam Melech v'Kohen Gadol. He throws in the word Kohen Gadol. You're even a Kohen Gadol, kachu dincha. This should be your din. In other words, you should attack them and harm them. So ma'asa, imata shemei letzasi. If you listen to my advice, roim same. Rashi says hard game, kill them. But Torah matieleha. So he's like, okay, fine. I have no problem killing out the Chachmei Yisrael if they deserve it. But I have another problem. What's going to happen to Torah? Those are the people that are the knowledgeable scholars to be able to transmit the Torah to the next generation. So he said, the Torah is over there. Just go to your local library. Go to some museum. It's wrapped up. Then once you come, can learn it and can read from the scroll. So this is person who was obviously already attached to the element of apicorsis. My. So this is referring to Yanei Melech. It shows that Yanei Melech was an apikoros, because even though it's fine, okay, we have the Torah Shebachsav, all you have to do is just preserve it in some type of safe or some museum. But Torah Shebal Peh, the oral tradition, is only going to be transferred with Chachamim. But he didn't say that. Obviously, it shows that he was grabbed hold of apikorsis. Miyad v'tutzat hara yedei Elazar ben Poria v'yarhargu kol chachmei Yisrael. So he killed all the Yidden, all the Chachamim. V'haya oyla mishtayimim. The Torah became desolate. The world had no Torah. Ad sheba Shimon ben Shetach v'hichzer saTorah liyoshna. Shimon ben Shetach, Baruch Hashem, who happened to be the Yanei Melech's wife's brother, and she hid him. That's how he survived. So because of his direct connection to Yana HaMelech, he was able to survive, or Yana HaMelech's wife, and therefore he was able to reinstate the Torah. So Shimon ben Shetach gets a tremendous amount of credit. Of course, again, he was lucky that his sister was related to the king. But more than that, he was able to restore the Torah. Now, why are we bringing down this story? It's a very emotional, moving story, but we have a bigger problem. What's the purpose of this? Because we're trying to figure out this machlokas, Abai and Rabba, what the din is when it comes to a person who has one witness that says your wife was Mazana, and they're silent. What's the din? Now, Elaim with the Beitrei Amri Ishtaboy, Ubeitrei Amri Lo Ishtaboy. Maybe you have two people that say that she was in captivity. The other two people say that's not the case. So my chas is the Samcha Hani. If it's 2 against 2, why would you believe these? Believe these. What does that mean? So it says Rashi. Why would you believe those who say that the Amri Ishtaboy, that she's in captivity? V'lo matzu. Maybe put her on her chazaka. Hanimili ihi kaman. If the Beis Din, if she's in front of the Beis Din, v'haisa bal Beis Din lahatira. Avol benazeh, this son hanadain eno chazaka de kashrus. Yana has no cheskas kashrus. He never had a cheskas kashrus. She hare meidim al tchilas leidasu bepsul. Because they're testifying regarding the mother, there's a psul. Okay. Ella b'edechad. Must be we're talking about there was one witness that saw that she was in captivity, and maybe 2 others came and contradicted. So v'tayma the komach shlei beitrei. The reason we're not going to listen to this one guy is because you have 2 people that contradicted. Holav hachimem, but otherwise we would believe. In other words, they have one witness and that's it, with no people contradicting, so we would believe. So this is clearly again a raya to Abaya that Neman 1 aid is believed. Really, there was 2 witnesses that said she was in captivity, 2 said no. So how do we trust one over the other testimony? What does that mean? So we know that normally when you have 2 witnesses against another 2 witnesses, they kind of cancel each other out, which is called Eidei HaChasha. However, Eidei HaZam, which is a Chiddush, was discussed in great length in the first Perek HaMakos, that when you have 2 witnesses and then you have a second kat that comes and says, either you're with us in a particular place, so we believe the second group of witnesses. So that's why we would listen to the second group of witnesses. Okay. That's answer number 1. What is this referring? So why do we say that maybe she was actually not in captivity? Says Rashi, they put like a stunt double. They thought this was Yanai's mom. So you had 2 witnesses that said one thing, and the other 2 said the other. There's really no hachasha, because the reality is that it was not his mother, and therefore that's the reason why it would work. Okay, so that again, that's another teretz. All right, if you look at this Taisus over Rabbi Omer, Rabbi who says that they're not believed because the davar shebe'erba for Taisus yim tamer kivan de shaisek ushtika koda damya. So understand, if you're quiet, that's like you're admitting. We already mentioned that person's allowed to make things asa for themselves. So Taisa says, all right, so on this, the Gemara. Let me see if there's a question here. No. Yeah. Question TB4. Madua lo huksher Yanai HaMelech. Why was a Yanai HaMelech considered to be kosher metam cheskas kashrus Shahaisa imo kashera, his mother was kosher. Kaidim shenoiled hasafik im nishbesa. Perish Rashi only. Okay? So this is actually a very hard question, but we actually just did it in Rashi. This is what I wrote. Ein cheskas kashrus, no heges rak zman shehem lefanov. Only when they're in front of us, lefnei beistin. Avol yanai haben, the son, ein lo cheskas kashrus, beglal, because shehu adayin lo noiled, he wasn't born b'shas hasafek, safek tuma, for who lo lifnei beistin. Okay, something along those lines are the correct answer. Not such an easy question. Okay. Let's look at question TA3. Shahayu oimrim imo shel yanai nishbis b'moidin. V'vaksha davar v'lo nimsa. They didn't find it. So madua haminu elu hakshiro. Why do we believe those people that say they were kosher, that she was kosher and he's kosher, more than ones who passel? So, or you can say we're talking about an eid echad that was nishba, said nishba, and two were machish. And therefore you have two people that say it's not true, that's why she's believed. Or we're dealing with Edi Hazama. So the second group says it's not true, she was not captured. We believe the second kat. Oh, shechnisu shivcha tachteha. So since it was a shivcha tachteha, so therefore, even though it may have looked like her, it wasn't. TA3. Okay. So those were a few answers. Again, either we're talking about the Eid Echad, and it was Taima de Kamachish Le Beitrei. That's one answer. Or Treu Trey, and we're talking about Edi Hazama. Or we're talking about Shivha Achnisu Tachteha. Okay. Omer Rava. So Rava again, who says that Eino Neman, as we continue to Samach Vavum at base, says as follows. Mina Amila. I'm going to prove to you that she's not going to be, they're not, this Eid Echad will not be Neman. How do we see this? Did not Rav Shimon Maaseh, there was a story Bimgura Shel Diskim Biyavna. There was a pool of water in which of Diskim, which is the name of a person or maybe the name of a place in Yavna. Rashi says Shaisa Omedes Becheska Shlema. So everyone thought that this was a kosher mikvah of Mem Saw. Madadu, they measured this mikveh. V'nimsas Chasera. They found out that it was actually not 40, it was 39. So what's the din? People were using this mikvah. So the din is, Kol taharo shenaso al gaba, hayratar for matahir b'mikiva matame. So machlokas, what's the status of all these things? Because it's possible that it was in the mikvah while it was still mole, or maybe not. Maybe it was chaser, and therefore it's tameh. We don't know exactly when it became chasera. So Rab Tarfon, Rab Tarfon says, I'm going to tell you that everything before that is tahar. Mikvah zeh b'cheskas shalim hu oimid. Everyone thought and knew, because this was once measured, that it was shalim. So mesavik atobol chasro. So now that's chaser, but it's a suffix when it happened. Al techasrenu mesavik. So therefore, again, we're going to assume everything is tahar. That everything was during the time when it was mole because it had the cheskes mole. Or maybe kiva adam zeh b'cheskes tameh hu oimid. No, we don't look at the mikvah. Look at the person. The person who's going to the mikvah is tameh. So masafik atabol atara to toreda masafik. So this person is definitely tameh. The question is, did he become tahar? We're not sure. So if it's a suffix, keep him tameh. So it's interesting. Do we look at the mikvah, the chevtza, or do we look at the person? Do we look at the gavra? So Amar Rabbi Tarfon Mashal will oimidu makar v'gam mizbeach. A person is bringing karbanos. V'noidish ben grush ben chulutza. He somehow was told that he's a chol. So she'avodasuk share. We say that the avoda that he did already is kosher. Can't do avoda anymore because he's a chol. But all the avoda was done is still considered kosher. And Rabbi Kiva Mashal oimid umakar v'gam mizbeach. Yeah, I'll give you such a mashal. Person is doing bringing karbanos. But instead of Shehu Balmum, turned out that he had a blemish. Shavodasu psula. So the din is that all the avoda is possible, even if it was b'shoygeg. He didn't realize he had a mum. So I'm Reb Tarfon, Ata dimisay balmum. You're comparing this guy to a balmum. I need the meat because we're talking about the person who's tamei. I need the misav ben grushim ben chalutza. So nil mi daima. Let's try to weigh this out. What is a better comparison? If you want to compare it to the case of someone who's a chol, whose father married he's a kohen, he married a grusha. If you can compare it to that, then it should be like those dinim. So if it's going to be like that, then it should be like that, right? It has to be what is more comparable than the dinim should apply. So his skill, Rabbi Kiva Ladun. So Rabbi Kiva, who again said that this person or the things that were immersed are tamei because of the suffix, because they were already vade tamei. So his skill, Rabbi Kiva Ladun. Mikvah psul biyachid. When it comes to a mikvah, it could passel biyachid. What exactly does that mean? So Rashi says, ba echad, if one person comes and says, I measured it and I found that it's chaser, so then that person is neman, as the Gemara in the beginning of Masechtas Gittin says, the eid echad neman b'yisurin. They have one witness is believed to say that something is not good. So when it comes to the mikveh, one person is believed. Ubal mum psul b'yachid. When it comes to a bal mum, if someone comes and says that you have a bal mum, that you have a blemish, he's also believed. So it makes sense to compare the mikvah to a balmum. When it comes to saying that a person is a chol, you need two witnesses. Davar acher, another way of reading this, mikvah psul begufo. The mikvah is a psul on the mikvah itself. Balmum psul begufo. There's a problem with the mikvah itself, or here with the blemish, the person himself. The psul is not him, he's a chol, but it's because of his father. So therefore, it makes more sense like the sheet of Rabbi Akiva. And in fact, Rabbi Tarfon, who originally disagreed, said an amazing statement. Akiva, kol parish mimcha. Anyone who separates from you, kaparish min achayim. It's like you're separating yourself from life. So therefore, it's clear that everything in that mikvah is going to have been tamei, like the shita of Rabbi Akiva. Now, haibal mum shepsul biyachid echadam. We said if one person comes and says the person's bal mum, he's believed. So if you have someone that contradicts and says not a bal mum, are we gonna believe him in that situation? El de shosik. It must be that he does not deny it. Or the kavasi gabi ben chutza. The shosik, that someone was accused of being ben grushman chutza, one witness, and the other person was silent. V'katani mikvah psul biyachid ubal mum psul biyachid. And here's the most important line: don't compare it to ben grushman chutza sheb'sul b'shnayim. We see one aid and the other is quiet. Still, the aid is not believed. And therefore, this is the raya like Rabbi. The Abaye Armino. Really, we're talking about a case where we have one person and he's contradicted. So if he's contradicted, so why would we believe the person who says the Baal Mum? Believe the guy who says it's not a Baal Mum. And why would you believe him? So he said, let's figure it out. I'm telling you that there's a mum over here. All we need to do is take off your shirt and show the world whether or not you actually have a psul of a bal, if they were a bal mum, that you have a blemish. It's something which is something that we could figure out. So therefore, one witness against one witness, we're going to believe the person who says he's a bal mum. Tiny mikvah psul begufo u bal mum psul begufo. We could easily verify the facts if you're a bal mum, because all you have to do is look at the guf, look at the body. So that's the end of that. We don't really have an outcome here, but at least we did bring down that if you have a person who was doing the avodah, it turns out that he was a kohen, but he was a chol, that his avodah is still good. Not anymore, but the avodah he did previously. But no. So Rabbi Yehuda Mar Shmuel, do you ever recall the pasuk says, this is brought down elsewhere, it'll be for you and your children afterwards, bein zer kash bein zer apostle. It's mashma even if you have a zer apostle, if they did the avoda, that it was kosher. Abu de Shmuel Eimer Mahacha. Baruch Hashem Cheloi, that you should bless Hashem strength. Upoyel Yadav Tirza. Now feel chulin, so the word chelo almost sounds like the word chulin. Even so, it was a chol shabai tirza, his avodah will be accepted. Rav Yanai Eimer Mahacha. Uvasol Kayin Asher Yebiyam Mahim. Go to the Kayin in your days. So, what do you mean? How can you go to someone who's not in your days? All you have is the person in front of you. Is that kosher in Israel? It means that even if the person was a kosher and he became a chol, that also is someone you can go to. However, on the other hand, how do we know if a kohen has a balmum? It's found out that he has a balmum. If his avodah is not good. So, Rabbi Yehuda Mishmuel. That it'll be a bris shalom. Kashu shalom, v'lo kashu chaser. The only time, this is in Parshas Pinchas, that the avodah can be done is if you're shalom, not just shalom, but shalom, complete. You have to be complete and not chaser. In other words, you have to not be a balmum. Ay v'hashalom ksiv. What do you mean? It says shalom with a vav. So I'm Rav Nachman, vav de shalom ketiyahi. The vav in the word shalom is broken. So the question is, why didn't the Torah make it a small vav? Why is it a broken vav? The vav is broken to say and allude to a broken person who is not shalom. It's complete, but he has a mum, some type of a defect, just like a broken vav. So it's interesting. So if you have a broken vav, so it's not real, you're not shalom because it's broken. So that is the idea behind it. Alternatively, when it comes to creating shalom, sometimes you need to be able to break. You have to compromise. You have to do things that maybe you don't necessarily wish to do. Okay, we're going to stop there, but we have question 4 to deal with. Question 4. Nechlo by Rava, im eid echa nemon be'edus ereva, im ein lo machish, mehem hadugmos, hamuskaros besugil edus ereva depligibo by Rava. One of the cases in which they argue. Question 4. So the first case was Ishtoi Zinsa, right? So this is the whole, how we started. The case of Ishtoi Zinsa is one of the cases. And this, they continue. Let's see. Imo Nishbasa. If a mother was in captivity. So that's the second case. Let me just make sure I find it over here. Okay, that was number 2. And Ben Gush Ben Chalutza. So that's another time in which this is brought down. Adkan.